everyone, and welcome back guys to a brand new video. And today we are here for the Project Cars 2 AOR Fuji 100 mile endurance. Now this was a race that I set up on AOR, you know, having a little bit of fun early days on Project Cars 2. When it came to car choice, I left it down to you guys over on Twitter. If you haven't already, don't forget to go follow me over there. And overall, it was actually quite a tight vote, but the Lamborghini GT3 car did win the vote, ready for this 42-lap race around the Fuji Speedway, a track that I don't think really in about the last 10 years I've probably driven. It was back on a couple of really old Gran Turismo games. Well, I think it was on Gran Turismo 5, and that was probably the last time I've played this track. But I'm going to leave you on board with my fastest qualifying lap, and hopefully I will see you at the end. Enjoy this wonderfully fantastic sounding Lamborghini Huracan for a lap around Fuji. So there we are then, at the end of that lap, and a 1 minute 39.6 was actually quite a competitive lap. You know, it felt fairly hooked up by, you know, a couple of tiny little mistakes here and there. But when it came to the end of the session, that was actually good enough for pole position there. So I was very, very happy with that. Able to beat my teammate EVR Burnout by less than a tenth of a second there. The only two of us were able to get into the sub 1 minute 40s there. So, you know, I was feeling quite confident, ready for this race. But we'll have to wait and see how well it does go. 11 GT3 cars raring to go in very, very changeable conditions around this Fuji Speedway circuit. But here we are then, ready on the grid, and I was opting to go for, you know, I was going to try and zero stop this race, going to run maximum fuel, and it was sort of just to see how well the tyres would last. But I think almost ready to go then, just waiting for the icebergs, and now we are on the grid. Starting from a pole position here, we'll have Burnout alongside me. Unfortunately, he will have the inside for turn 1, but here we are then, ready for my first ever online race on Project Cars 2, hoping this race can go very, very well. 15 red lights and 5 green ones, and it's lights out, and away we go. And off to actually a pretty decent start. You know, myself and Burnout both, I think, you know, two of the more powerful cars on the grid as we come down towards turn 1. He's going to have the inside though, so I'm just going to give him the room on the inside there, and he does now move up into the race lead. Fortunately for us, we were able to get out nice and cleanly. A little bit of contact further back, unfortunately, as a couple of guys made a little bit of mistakes into each other there, but Burnout and I able to get out nicely in the race lead early on, and hopefully, you know, now we can try and pile on the pressure to him, not try and worry too much. We've got ESR Ryan just behind me, as well as Troy FMCG, if I'm not mistaken, so those two both very, very quick, very, very comfortable when it comes to sim-style games, you know. Project Cars 2, on the whole, though, I'm really, really enjoying so far, and especially in a car like this Lamborghini, it is so much fun to drive. I'm running no assists on this game, absolutely nothing at all, no traction control, no ABS, no stability management, no racing line, absolutely nothing like that. When it came to setup, I was effectively running stock as well, you know, I wasn't really too worried about trying to fine-tune anything. For my first ever race, you know, we'll leave that to if I end up diving into some league racing on this game. But coming towards the end of lap 1, it's been fairly clean. But unfortunately for me, Burnout is starting to pull away just a little bit, a tiny bit of lag between the pair of us there as well. But, you know, he's pulling away just a tiny bit very, very early on in this race. And this is really not what I need. He might be trying to go for a one-stop race and, you know, go for a bit of an alternate strategy over myself. As I said, you know, we were going to try and take the no-stop right the way through and see how well it would fare. So, you know, I wasn't really too worried about losing out a little bit of time to him very, very early on in this race. But, you know, if we could keep within sort of 5 seconds, that would probably be very, very ideal. Also, starting to watch out a little bit more for Troy behind me as he, you know, in that BMW M6. Very, very quick down the straights. But there we are then, the first lap of this 42-lap race. Nicely over and done with, you know, fairly cleanly for myself. A couple of tiny mistakes and a little bit gutted that we did lose out the lead, but nothing, you know, too much that I'm going to worry about. It's a long, long race, probably just over an hour actually throughout on the whole. So, you know, there's a lot of time to be trying to go back and, you know, attacking Ben once more. And you see, moving on to lap 8 of the race, he started to make a couple of tiny little mistakes on this lap. So I was closing in ever so slightly. You know, I got some fairly good consistency early on in this race, just locking up the front tyres ever so slightly. This Lamborghini I found very, very easily decides, you know, gets a lot of tyre squeal as it's all-wheel drive. You know, the front tyres really do suffer in this car. You can just hear just dinking them ever so slightly through the next couple of corners as we come through towards the end of the lap. Ben has made another tiny mistake here, so we're now all over the back of him towards the end of lap 8 of this race here. And, you know, we're just going to try and pounce if an opportunity does arise. He goes a bit more defensive in towards the final corner there. We're just going to try and nail a nice apex there, try and use as much run out of the final corner there. And we've actually got off to quite a good corner there. You know, we're going to have a little bit of a run, obviously, in the slipstream as well, down this front straight. The Audi and the Lamborghini pretty much equal on this game, and not really too sure what this billboard's doing down towards turn 1 either. And we sort of all didn't really want to hit it just in case, but yeah, not too sure what that was all about. But breaking it down in towards turn 1 there, Ben brakes a tiny bit later than me, not able to get anywhere near the apex there. And unfortunately, I don't know if he just dips it on the accelerator or not a little bit too early, or whether we had a little bit of laggy contact there. But unfortunately, I've taken the lead of the race, which is very, very happy for me. But unfortunately, they're not too sure what happened to Ben. He was spat out into the gravel. I don't know really, you know, from my point of view, it looked like it could have either been, you know, a bit of laggy contact, or whether he did just lose it under acceleration. Obviously, I haven't spoke to him, unfortunately, just yet to find out what had happened there. But whatever had happened, you know, I've taken the lead of the race. But it was unfortunate, you know, EVR were, you know, we were putting away at the moment. We were looking pretty damn strong in this race. But Ben dropped down to third, still right on the back of Troy in the BMW M6. So, you know, it was far from over for him. And if I made a couple of mistakes, he was definitely going to be able to close back on me nice and quickly. But now, as we skip on to lap 17 of the race, and the tyres were starting to drop just a bit in both wear and in terms of temperature. We opted, well, personally, I'd opted to try and make the weather make a tiny bit of a mistake there. I tried to make the race a little bit, you know, changeable conditions. It wasn't going to rain or anything. It was just going to go from very clear to cloudy to foggy and then back to clear right for the very end of the race. You know, try and give drivers a little bit of an immersive experience here around Fuji. You know, near a mountain, these sorts of things can happen. As we skip on to lap 18 now, the fog really starting to settle in just that little bit more at the moment. So tyre temperatures were dropping as well, which made finding grip a little bit more difficult to do in this race. But, you know, it was still very, very enjoyable locking up the front tyres ever so slightly down in towards turn 1. I was getting slowly but surely better when it came to not trying to scrub the tyres too much down into corners. But we were holding on quite comfortably at the moment. I'm not too sure if Ben had to make a pit stop by this point, but we now had ourselves a 22-second lead. So this was looking very, very good for myself. And now as we skip on to lap 21 of the race, halfway stage of this race, you know, it was looking quite good at the moment. The fog was, as you can clearly see, settling in a huge amount now. So it was really, really quite interesting how good this dynamic weather really was at this moment in time of the race. Halfway through, 50 miles completed, and we were looking very, very strong at this moment in time as we come through the final couple of corners. Just trying to clip the apexes quite nicely here. Consistency felt very, very good in this race as well as we come through the final corner to finish at lap 21, and unfortunately we disconnected, which was really, really gutting, I'm not going to lie. But on the whole, though, you know, even though we were only able to do the first 20 laps, this race was really, really good fun. But hopefully, you know, you guys have enjoyed this video. Do not forget to like, subscribe if you want to see more Project Cars 2 content on the channel. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed this race. But I will see you guys next time for a brand new video.